Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We haven't been doing a lot of videos recently just because we've been working on few projects in the background, which we'll talk about very shortly as well in probably the next video or in the other video series where we talk about the journey. So today we're talking about the fundamentals of marketing. So really the strategies that go into marketing, and a lot of the time those get basically we don't really talk about those strategies just because we've gone into this era of social media, and what marketing seems to be nowadays is just social media, and a lot more goes into marketing than just social media. So I just want to quickly talk about that. Social media is a huge part of it, and all the advertisement that goes with it is a huge part, but marketing is not just social media. So I just want to talk about a few strategies that work offline and online, even if they are based on social media. So I just want to talk about how they sort of all link together. So one of the strategies that I want to talk about is basically your goal and purpose of what you're doing. So let's say if you're doing a piece of content, right? Whether it be print or whether it be a piece of content that you are actually putting up on your social media or Instagram, a lot of the time I see that people would post something that doesn't really have a particular goal to it, right? So whether you post a piece of content on social media and it's just a post, right, of maybe, let's say if you're a restaurant, people would post a picture of the food, right? Let's say if they post a picture of the food, but there's no real goal to that picture. So that's actually kind of a waste of a post, although you're still posting content, which is awesome, but it's kind of a waste in a sense where what's the real purpose of you posting that piece of content is the question. So it's really important to have those clear engage the goal, right? Whether that goal be engagement or whether it's brand awareness. So you have to position that piece of content in line with your goal. So let's say if you're a restaurant and you're posting a picture of your food, you're just posting the picture of the food. I assume that would be close to brand awareness because you're just saying, hey, we make beautiful food, but what's the real message that's going with it? So I feel like, especially in the social media and the digital landscape, a lot of the time the message gets sort of lost, and what you're saying doesn't actually carry through just because you're focusing on just getting the content out there. So it's really important to have that goal defined very clearly, what you're trying to achieve, whether it be website visits or brand awareness or any of that. Now, the second one I want to talk about is actually defining your audience. And that's really important just because, even on going back to the social media side of things, when you're talking about your audience, so many times people would just run ads, right? And throw money at Facebook or Instagram, wherever you do that. The problem with that is you're not reaching your customers. Once again, it's because you're not targeting your audience, and you end up targeting this majority of people who are not actually interested in your brand. So what happens is, you're just throwing money at Facebook, and they're happy to take your money. What ends up happening is you don't actually reach the people that you want to reach. I mean, there's a really good way to counter that. You can run engagement campaigns to see who is interested in what you're doing and retarget those people, and that's on social media. Now, if you were running a print campaign as well, once again, as I said, marketing is not just all about social media. There's a whole bunch of things that go into a website, goes into as well. Your website design has to be in line with your audience. If your audience is, let's say the upper end of the market, so your audience is the CEO, the executives, you wouldn't have a website that is very quirky, that has a lot of fun pictures. You might have a website that's a little bit more classic, a little bit more serious, and the wording is very concise. So you really change your positioning because you have to define your once you define your audience, and everything you do will be in line with your audience from there onwards. And I think that's really important, even for the website design, like I said, and even logos. Like when you're making a logo, you really have to consider what your market is. Just as an example, I might put it on the screen. If you ever seen a logo for a construction company, right? Construction company logos are very you be able to look at a construction company logo and say, well, this is a construction company. And those logos are normally very quirky, or they're quite static and quite stagnated. Once again, depends on what kind of company they are and what their audience is. Whether if you look at it, if you're looking at a new tech startup, you will see they've got a quirky brand. They've got, they look fun. So there's that difference because people have the audience in mind. So it's really important to define your audience as to what you're trying to achieve as your goal for your company. Now, the last one that I want to talk about is the brand positioning and the brand identity, right? So this is a really important one, because I see a lot of the time this gets missed as well. So when I talk about brand identity, how does your brand speak, right? So for Zero Media, for people who have been following us, we are a very casual brand, right? So it's in line with who we are as people. So it's kind of chilled, and we talk like we're talking to you as a friend, versus talking to you as a professional company that starts with, "Dear Stephanie, hope this email finds you well." So it depends on your brand identity and staying in line with it. And it's really important to stay in line with your brand identity, just because people get used to seeing, and you want to build that. Why do you think you walk in Kmart and all the Kmarts look the same? It's because you're trying to build that identity, and people would like that conciseness and basically that familiarity, because so no matter who you speak to in the company, whether you speak to account department or whether you speak to the production department, they all have this similar way of speaking. And also your website reflects that as well. So you can't, if you're a fun brand, your website can't be super serious and very static. Same thing with social media. Your social media can't be, you can't be posting very serious stuff on your social media and then have a website that's very fun. So it's really important to stay in line with what the voice of the identity of the brand is as well. And colors is another important thing. There's a color chart that you can look at, says what your brand reflects, and the colors that you pick. So many times that sort of goes unnoticed as well. So it's important to look at those colors, what kind of colors they're using. I mean, if just for example, if you're ever gone to a council website, right, or the government websites, there's not many, there's no real identity to it, because they're very static and they're very boring. I'm not saying they're bad, but they're just boring. But I suppose they still serve a purpose. The point is that if your brand stands for something, you have to be in line with it always. So you have make a fun colors, pick your colors right, pick your logo right. If your brand is very like a tech company, you would have like a lot of animation, and everything has to be in line with it. I think that's sort of the strategies that I want to talk about. They're really the fundamentals of marketing, whether it be digital or across the platform, or even print, old school marketing. I think that'll be all for today's video. Once again, shout out to the guys at the Studio E at the Alex Theatre. They're doing a wonderful job, and thank you for letting me record this video. And also, we're doing this Compassion Crate package at Zero Media, where we basically speak to you for free and look at the things, how we can better your communication channels. So if you want to know more about that, send us an inbox or find a link somewhere, or call us, one of those things. And thank you so much for tuning in. Talk to you soon. Bye.